everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Paint Table. This is my weekly show where you see what I got done, what I'm working on, and what is coming up. So this week, I painted another 11 models for a variety of games, everything from Elder Scrolls to Relic Blade to Gale Force 9's World of Tanks. I also assembled a whole bunch of stuff. I've run out of excuses as to why I've not been building my Flesh Eater Quartz army. And of course, with the new General's Handbook pitch battle profiles arriving, I finally have the points that I can write a list and it's edition accurate and start my Monster Mash 2,000 points of match play stuff for the 3rd edition. So I got to work on that. I will admit I built the less not fun repetitive stuff first. So let's take a look at what got done, the 11 models I painted, and what is coming up. So let's kick it off with the easy stuff first. We have some stuff from Relic Blade, as well as actually Temple West, who make the Legends series for Relic Blade, which are actually the unique cards that are created by Kickstarter backers. Whenever Sean does a new wave of Relic Blade models, he always lets people basically design their own characters. Well, Temple West is sculpting them, which is really cool. It's the Iron Tyrant. I'm using it as an alternate Questing Knight to go with my other Questing Knight. This is the new Questing Knight. I have the original as well from 1st edition Relic Blade, and I love this sculpt. He's so cool. Look at his awesome flaming torch. He's got just this great classic kind of suit of armor, and he was a joy to paint. He's nice. He's a very simple sculpt, but he looks like a very badass simple kind of hedge knight. I love this miniature. I also painted the Lotus Bladesong. This is the actually Blaster 1 contribution. So this was one of the miniatures whose background and stuff is all in Blaster 1. I used P3 Eldritch for all the cool kind of I guess what would you even call them, streamers coming off of her, and then the rest of it was done in old GW Snot Green blended up through old Scorpion Green, and then a nice bright skin tone and hair to kind of offset it, so warm for the skin and cool for the clothing. The sword and the wrap for the sword is well done in a cool color to kind of offset that stuff. So very happy with how she turned out. So every time I move her and spin around, the camera has to refocus, so you have to wait a second for her to come back and focus. My apologies. But wonderful miniature and super fun to paint and amazing in the game. If you don't have a Lotus Bladesong, she's a neutral, so any faction can use her, and she is just an absolute killing machine. 3 attacks, 3 plus 3 damage. And then whenever she has a dodge token, she has +1 armor. So she's armor 1 base, but she can be armor 3 if she's walking around with a focus dodge, which is amazing. And then you give her a magic ring so that she can dodge again without using her dodge tokens. And then I painted up the 2 new Lone Guard Watchmen. There is something, I have to say, some of Sean's best sculpting work, come into focus, comes out in these Lone Guard. Their faces are just amazing. I love this dude with his mustache and his slick back hair. I did these from a brown-based tone, so everything has a brown warm undertone. I figured they're rangers, you know what I mean? They would have that kind of grime to them, and there's just some simple leather bonnets with some green clothing. And I did them kind of uniform because these are the less heroic dudes. These are the team for the Lone Guard, and that means that they are a pair that you buy as a single unit for 18 points. And I wanted them to look like they were actually a unit. This was these were the Joe Schmo kind of Lone Guards who get deployed off with the heroes like the commander and the actual Lone Guardsmen who are more the sort of senior rangers and do the legwork and stuff. So actually use a skin tone through Doombull Brown for the cloaks there to give that nice kind of muted effect, and then I blended up some old Shadow Gray through white in with the brown, and then I think that's actually old Blood Red in with the brown for the shield and stuff there. And just washes and that Spugman's Glow, I believe, for the skin, blended up through Screaming Skull. Give it a nice rich sort of warm tone. And then I painted up a couple of more heroes, a Breton Ranger for, Elder Scrolls of Cold Arms. Who's a generic hero. She's got the Dwemer Ruins base, so she has the Dwemer piping and stuff. I actually used a lighter metallic for her armor this time around. I used, I think it's the GW Granite Steel, washed down with some thinned down with gloss varnish, null and oil gloss. And then this is my Dragonborn. I'm using the Orc Barbarian as my Dragonborn. This is Orcamungus. He was one of my characters when I actually played Skyrim. And so I figured, have a Dragonborn that's not human. Do it! Do it! Play somebody who doesn't look like, the just atypical barbarian Skyrim guy. Use an orc, use a Khajiit, sorry, use a, I don't know, whatever the Argonian, I don't remember what the lizard people are called. But yeah, this is Orcamungus. He's my hero. You get to see him in some upcoming videos. It almost feels like cheating, but I painted up a full squadron for World of Tanks. Actually, Jordan, who I play Infinity with, is a World War II buff, and he had a passing interest in it. And I had all this World of Tanks stuff. I hadn't really gotten to play the game against anybody, so he was like, yeah, I'll give it a try. So I gave him all the English stuff, British stuff, and we're going to have, you know, a reimagined civil war between Canada and Great Britain as they come to take the territories back sometime in the 1940s in my alternate history. So I painted a Lee, 2 Shermans, and then a Wolverine, which is one of the expansions. It's a tank destroyer. Of course, I named it Logan, because why wouldn't I? And these are so easy to paint because they come primed, actually. I'll show you. This is one of the new ones, the Pershing. I haven't painted yet. But they come primed like this. So all you really have to do is, like, generate a nice wash. So I actually use Cygor Brown contrast paint, thinned down with, like, a lot of contrast medium and a bit of water to give it that grimy effect, and then dry brushed it back up with, I think it's like, I don't know if it's Apple Lauren. There's a green that's basically like an OD like military drab. And then before I did that, I picked out all the bases with a bit of like copper and bronze, and then I went back over them after everything was dry with a bit of Necron compound, just to like pick out the edges and stuff like that. And it's like the easiest, and then you just do details, like you do some markings, you do lights, and it's like the easiest paint scheme ever. Like painting 15mm World War II armor, or actually just any armor, could be sci-fi armor, doesn't matter, is so easy. It almost feels like cheating. I think I painted these guys in like 2 or 3 hours. I might muddy them up a bit more just to make them dirty. But I'm gonna add because I have to add the Pershing and stuff too to have a heavy tank. But yeah, these are super quick to paint. I'm pumped to actually give the game a go, like with a live opponent. That leads me to this. The folks at Gale Force 9 loved all the Aliens videos I did, and they've been sending me samples of the upcoming releases for World of Tanks. They actually just sent me the heavy tank release as a free sample, which is really nice of them. And it's got the Tiger 1, a Comet, a Pershing, which didn't super really take like part in World War II. It was more of a Korean War tank, but it's still like a very cool big tank. And then the IS-2, which is like, I like that the gun is most of the tank. Like, look at how long that is. It has a giant gun. And these add some like big heavy tanks. Like if you put them next to each other, like you look at a Sherman next to the Pershing, it's like about 2/3 the size. Even the Wolverine is like way smaller as a tank destroyer than the Pershing is. So these are the bigger armor tanks, and obviously the Tiger was in the entire First or Second World War, and is one of the big heavy tanks. But it's interesting because the Pershing is technologically like a more advanced tank, just because it's like in a newer time period. So it's actually the most powerful tank, I think, of this group. No, actually the IS-2 is. The IS-2 is, because it's basically a Tiger with a bigger gun. Slightly slower initiative and less crew, because all Soviet tanks have less crew because they're basically big mobile tractors. But yeah, it's a neat little like sort of upgrades. And the big idea here obviously is that you can mix and match any time period and any tank together, because it's World of Tanks. It's not actually a historical game, but we're gonna paint up the stuff we like and put them together. So I'm probably gonna paint the Soviets next, and I'll give this Comet to Jordan to paint up to put with the rest of his like British stuff, and we'll give the game a go. You see that coming up on Fridays, coming up soon. Well, here it is, the work I got done so far on my Flesh Eater Cords. A lot of stuff in sub-assemblies, because obviously it's just easier to work on certain models in sub-assemblies. So my Terrorgeist is going to have you in sub-assembly, Mr. Abhorrent Ghoul King, because you obviously need to come off, and I do want to be able to use him in my Soulblight army too, as just like an unmounted Terrorgeist, because the Vampire Lord doesn't ride the bat in the Soulblights. So these are all built separately, so I can airbrush him and get to all of his like individual like bits of hide and stuff. I'll probably prime him and the Zombie Dragon black, and airbrush most of like the base tones on. Same with these guys, they're gonna get primed. I think actually maybe gray, and then airbrush all the skin. I haven't decided yet, actually. I'm thinking gray, because I can airbrush all the skin and like even the wings, and then just use contrast paints to do the interior panels. I might just rip a little stuff from my buddy Nick, because I like the way his looked, and they look pretty good. And they're going to double duty as Vargeists too. Obviously the heads are different for Vargeists, which I think is dumb, but I'll deal with that. People can suck that up. And then there's my Abhorrent Archregent up here, the classic old metal Citadel like Vampire Lord with the big wing. He's clearly thinks he's still a knight because he's carrying a sword and stuff. And I figured if we're gonna do the Bretonnian theme, which I love actually that the Charnel Throne has a shout out to Bretonnia, because it's got the fleur de lis on the bottom there. That's a cheeky little thing, but it's It's very cool. And of course, there's a nice little corpse pile in the basement there. I built this separately because this is all supposed to be bones, and then this is like an old chunk of castle. So obviously 2 different paint styles. Make it way easier to paint. And then for my Cryptghast Courtier, I'm going to use Duke Crackmarrow. Just not as Crackmarrow. He just makes a handy ghoul ghast model, because otherwise you're going to make one of the extra like ghouls you have, and I don't have any extra ghouls. I need all of them. I built you as, I do like to do a variety, and this is obviously the Monster Mash edition, so I want to have another monster, so I did the Zombie Dragon as opposed to the Terrorgeist. It might be better to have 2 Terrorgeists, I can't really tell right now. The range attack is nice, but I wanted, again, for this to do double duty in my Soulblight's army, so I built Vordray / just if I want to use him as a generic Vampire Lord, to mount on this guy as well, and that gives me 2 options for him, and then a second Archregent, and I'll tell them apart because one's going to have a necklace and one isn't. You know, details. So that's going to be my my second big guy. And I do have a 2,000 point list put together. I'm going to start with this stuff and then get it all done. I'm going to paint all this stuff, and then I'm going to get onto the like toll of having to build 40 Crypt Ghouls. That's what's in here, along with my endless spells. I'm not sure about the endless spells yet. The half movement one is kind of cool, actually. The barricade. I may build and paint that, but regardless, that's my battle line right there, is a 20-man unit of ghouls in 210, which means I just don't know. Well, I mean, I could probably use other stuff as battle line too. These guys could be battle line depending upon my my Grand Illusion, my court that I pick. But I don't know. I like to have the ghouls because obviously you need something to hold the zones while the monsters go and do their business. I have my Vargheist, my Vargskier that I can use as a Varghulf Courtier to summon. So I have 1, 2, 3 unit summons in this list. And I don't have any models to summon right now. So I'm going to have to get something. I was thinking about getting the Warcry box, because the Warcry box has another, I think, 10 ghouls and a unit of, like, I can make more Vargheists, or I can make the Crypt Fiends. Just have a unit of them as well and use them as summons. That was a possibility. I feel like that's a good, I don't need another dragon. So, I mean, I could get another dragon. I could just get another, start collecting as the other option, or I get the Warcry box. I'm up in the air. I haven't decided yet. I might just get another start collecting. It's probably the easiest way to do it. 3 start collectings, and then I've got my summons as well, and I'm ready to kind of rock and roll. So we got another 11 models painted this week, and lots of projects. I got 2 dragons, 2 heroes, 6 big Batmans, and a piece of terrain I need to paint. So that's that 3, 6, 10, 11. If I can have the terrain, it'll be easy to do. Plus 40 ghouls, so 51 models to paint for getting that undead stuff done, that Flesh Eater Cord stuff done. And not even like done, because I still need to paint whatever the summonables are later, or wait to summon them during the game until stuff's dead, which is not ideal, obviously. You want to pile on while you still have like the advantage. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So anyway, big thanks for watching. We'll see you next week to see what gets done. Till then, I'm Ash. Happy gaming. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below to get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Desperate Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.